So, what about telephone numbers? This is a very common question, get asked it a lot. Um, Quite simply, do you include your telephone number and have a call us as a call to action? Well, it's a really good question, and there's no simple answer. I wish there was a really simple answer, but there isn't. But let me give you how I would evaluate that and help you make that decision. You see, there's some positives and there's some negatives. And as long as you're aware of these, it really will depend on your specific circumstances. Now, it means that you're providing visitors with two options. And the trouble is, once you start moving into options, then visitors start to get confused. I know that we're kind of raised on this notion that choice is good, but when it comes to marketing, you want a really, really simple, narrow path. You don't want people having this option or that option because they essentially get bamboozled. And quite often, what happens once people are faced with a choice is they choose to do nothing because making decisions is actually quite difficult for most people. So the psychology of giving them lots of choice, although you can see some sense in it, it doesn't actually pan out. What you want to do is keep it really, really simple, and the simpler their choice making is, the better. So that's one of the issues when you introduce, you can either phone us or you can, leave your email address. However, having said all that, some services are time sensitive. So they're likely to be lifting the phone because they need an answer right here, right now. There's another reason that people lift a phone and phone, and it's because they're not convinced that they will get a response to their written inquiry. And the reason for this is that many, many companies are atrocious at processing online forms and online inquiries and sometimes never look at them. I've worked with some really big companies over the years that had no process in place to deal with email inquiries or online inquiries or somebody filling a form. They just went into a black hole. So most people have had an experience of that, and if something's urgent or important or time sensitive, then they just might not trust it. Also, if your website looks a bit crap and a bit amateurish and doesn't look like this is a real professional outfit, then they won't trust that anything will happen when they send that email to you. So they'll lift the phone because at least they get immediate feedback, and it's to do with this feedback and trust. Now, the other thing to remember is that some markets are, of course, telephone centric. Some people just spend their everyday doing what they do on the phone, and they don't normally email people or do stuff. So they like to continue doing that even when they're buying stuff and moving into their own supplier. So if your market happens to operate in that way where they spend all day on the phone and you don't offer a phone, then of course you're probably giving yourself a problem. So these are some of the factors that you have to think about. So if you do decide to include your telephone number, and it's a big if, then can you guarantee that it will be answered 100% of the time by a live human? This is really important. Can you also guarantee that it will be answered professionally and by someone who knows exactly what to say? Now, in one of my bigger sites that has pretty high traffic, it's a really professional site, I can't guarantee that. And because of that, I don't give them telephone as an option. There's a telephone number in the site buried in the contact us, but I am not encouraging people to lift the phone. Simply because I cannot guarantee that someone will always be able to answer that phone. And if you're in that situation, then that's a really big question. If they do answer the phone, do you have your script prepared? And can you guarantee that it will actually be adhered to by whoever answers? Or is it whomever answers? Do you have a list of questions to be asked? And can you guarantee to gather the information that you absolutely must have, i.e. things like email, name, telephone number? You know yourself that many people, when they answer the phone to an inquiry, they take, right, smashing, and they give the answers. What's the price? Yeah, we can do this, we can do that. And before you know it, they're off the phone and you forgot to ask their name or you forgot to ask their email. You might have the company name, but you didn't have the extension number. So it's almost a waste of time and you're totally dependent on them buying or phoning you back, and you have no recourse whatsoever because you haven't got the data. So it happens in the biggest, most professional companies. It really should never happen. So you need to make sure that you can guarantee that it will not happen in your organization if you're going to use the phone as something, a response, a call to action. And of course, do you have a secure, reliable means of storing any data that you do collect over the phone, and an ability to share that data with whoever actually needs it? Now, that might be as simple as writing it down in a card and putting it in the place on the desk and everybody knows where to find it. Or it might be a simple database or some sort of customer client management system. If you don't have that, if it just gets left on a phone somewhere or some mobile or scribbled on a piece of paper and you really don't have any system, then actually you're not able to take telephone calls or give out your telephone number. You're just going to be upsetting people and make yourself look like an idiot. Better not to do it at all unless you can do it really, really well. If you can't guarantee all of the above, then do not offer your telephone number as a call to action. It's just going to upset people, it's going to lose your customers, you're going to look unprofessional. So you need to make that call, but that's the process that you should go through to make that decision. Am I going to put a telephone number as a call to action, as an option, or not? If you can answer all these questions, then by all means do so. If you can't, either address it or don't do it.